This is how I make the edge clean when using the wet on wet technique, using here as an example. I first apply a layer of clean water along the sketch line. I'm especially careful not to let the water go beyond the edge of the sketch, because as long as there's water, the pigment can flow into it. If the water spreads past the boundary, the paint will bleed outside the intended area. You can think of the water as defining the boundary of your painting area. One trick I learned from my past mistakes is to leave a small dry gap in the area where the hair meets the face. I don't apply clean water all the way to the edge along the face. This has been a game changer for controlling the next layer, and here's why. In the first water layer, there's already a lot of moisture within the hair section. When I move on to the second layer, I often use a very damp pigment-loaded brush to paint along the face to create a natural dark to light transition. If the area I'm about to paint in the second layer is already wet from the first water layer, adding more moisture with the brush can easily cause a puddle that overflows and bleeds outside the edge. By leaving a dry gap along the face, I can safely paint over it with a very wet brush in the second layer. One side of the brush touches the sketch line, and the other side touches the wet area of the hair. This allows the pigment to blend out smoothly while keeping the edge clean and sharp, without bleeding caused by excessive water. Now I'm using a slightly drier brush to smooth out the other side of the paint. Before the previous layer dries completely, I'm adding darker shadows. I firstly define the area where the darkest shadows will go. And then gradually transition into the lighter tones. By using a dry clean brush, I can easily lift off paint where I want to go lighter. But of course, you need to do this before the paint completely dries. For the hair, I use a lot of water to create a more dramatic granulation texture. In contrast, when painting the neck area, I control the water much more carefully. I usually use a wet on dry layering technique, just enough to render the light and shadow without emphasizing any strong granulation effects. Over the years, I have bought so many granulating and layered watercolors, but I still feel it's not enough. Sometimes it's hard to find the exact tone and color combinations I'm looking for, so I started mixing my own custom granulating colors. This time, I tried combining Daniel Smith Opera Pink and Cobalt Green Deep, a vivid pink paired with a deep granulating green. I'm using a Chinese brush to do the color swatching. I love Chinese brushes. They are soft, absorbent, and have a nice point. It's funny because I used to not be a fan of opera pink. I was more into earthy colors in the past. But now, my taste has changed. I really love vibrant colors. When swatching, I experimented with different ratios. I really like this mix. What do you think? Making watercolor paints is my new hobby. Last time I made a fluorescent watercolor, which was surprisingly easy. This time I confidently, maybe blindly, chose a mineral pigment. Maybe I'm just a little crazy. The pigment I'm using is Epidote Greenish Extra. Epidote is a natural mineral commonly found in metamorphic rocks. It creates a moody, granulating, greenish-brown kind of color. Mineral pigments are usually expensive, but this one is actually on the more affordable side. Mineral pigments are also really tricky to make because the pigment particles are larger and don't dissolve easily in water. So grab your coffee or tea and let's enjoy some paint making. After finishing the mineral color, for no particular reason, I decided to add some fluorescent pigment to the mix just to see what would happen. These are the 2 watercolor paints I made. Now let's wait for them to dry. I'll definitely show how the color swatches look in a future video. For all these color experiments, I want to document them in my notebook so I can refer back to the mixes later. You might know that I recently opened my art shop. I really enjoy the process of packing orders. It doesn't feel like I'm just sending out art pieces, but more like I'm sending my watercolor friends off to their new homes where they will start new stories. Each order is hand-packed by me and comes with a thank you card, some free stickers, and stems of my watercolor friends' faces on both the front and back of the packages. I'm so grateful for all the support, and I truly hope you love them as much as I do. I'm working on my next shop update. It's going to be a very exciting one. Here we are at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and staying till the end. I'll see you next time. Bye.